Okay, in this lecture, we're going to go over how to do the Unit 1, Week 2 project. So first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to the file system, the bit.ly/sp20 QBA, bit.ly/sp20 QBA. So that's what you need to be putting into your browser, and you'll be able to access the folder. So I'm going to exit that really quick, and I'm going to go ahead and go to Project Documents. And if you want to access your data set, go ahead and click on your data set, and all of your data sets are right here. I've already got my data set open. I'm going to be using a slightly different data set. And then I'm going to open up Spring 2020 Unit 1 Project Workbook. In addition to this, I do have this in the description below. A link to this very specific one. So I'm going to open this up, and you'll notice Unit 1, Week 1. You should have done this one already. And then down here, you're going to see Unit 1, Week 2. So I'm going to do something really quick to possibly make this a little bit easier for you guys. I'm going to go right here, and then I'm going to move this over here. I've got my data set right here, which I'm using a different set of survey data. I've got some survey data of, let's see how many individuals were surveyed. There's a total of 224 individuals that were surveyed about their preferences of fast food. So I'm going to take this survey data, and I am going to bring this survey data into this Unit 1 project. And when you do this, there's a couple different ways to do this. If you have a PC, you can literally just click on it and drag it into the next workbook, and it'll drag it in there for you. Okay. And so then I've got the clean data, and then I've got Unit 1, Week 1, Unit 1, Week 2, so on and so forth. So I've got all of that all perfectly cleanly organized. The other way to do it is to right-click on it and say Move or Copy. And you can say, okay, I want to move it to a new book. I want to move it to Fast Food Survey, and I want to create a copy of it, and I'm going to put a copy of it in front of the qualitative classes, and I'm going to say, okay. So now I've got clean data with text over here, clean data with text over here. I've got it in both locations, and now since I have it in both locations, I'm just going to go ahead and close it. Close the first one. So fast food data, I'm not going to save it because, yeah. And then I am going to open this up a little bit. Now, in the previous lecture, what you all did is you chose 10 variables. Okay, so each one of these is a variable. So for Unit 1, Week 1, each one of these is a variable, and you should have taken these variables and put them into all of these different variables. And so I'm going to pause for a second, and I'm going to get 10 variables in there, and you'll so that way we can continue. Okay, so I chose 10 variables, and then I also made a dichotomous variable right down here. And so we are ready to go. These are the variables that we're going to be using for the Unit 1, Week 2. So I'm going to copy and paste these. I'm going to press Control-C, and I'm going to press Control-V, and I'm just going to kind of categorize, take a look at these and see where is it that I should put each one of these. And notice right here it says, let's see here. Let's go through each one of these requirements. First of all, make a frequency table for the qualitative variables and the dichotomous variable. Create a bar graph for the ordinal variables. Create a pie graph for the nominal variables and dichotomous variable. Construct a frequency distribution for the quantitative variables. And then it goes through, hey, this is what you should be doing with that. And then create a histogram for the quantitative variables. And we'll go from there. So make sure, so we know based on this right here, we've got the first two are nominal. So I'm just going to highlight these, and I'm going to say, okay, these are nominal. I always like going green, and then the next ones, which ones are ordinal? Okay, it's going to be the likelihood. I decided to do all the likelihood questions. So I've got the likelihood of buying chicken, likelihood of buying a burger. So I'm going to do yellow. And then your first Chick-fil-A, what are those? Those are interval. So I'm going to do interval as red. Let's see here. We're kind of like an orangish. That'll do. and then we'll do those, we'll leave those as blue, and then very last one is yellow. So now we can keep track really quick, based on the type of variable that it is. So I would suggest the very first thing that you do is say, hey, let's make sure that we get the right variables in the right locations. So make sure that you have a frequency table for every qualitative and every dichotomous variable. So we're going to have a frequency table for all of these. So I'm going to put Control C, Control V, and then last but not least, Control C. It looks like I need to insert a row. There we go. Control C, Control V. So I'm going to need to make a frequency table for each one of those. Just want to have a little bit more. There we go. Frequency table for each one of those. Put it in a bar graph for each ordinal variable. Okay. So we need a bar graph for all of these. Control C, Control V. Put in a pie graph for the nominal and dichotomous. So I'm going to do Control C, Control V, Control C, Control V. Okay. Then next, put in a frequency distribution below for each quantitative variable, and tells you to do all those different things. So I'm going to take the quantitative variables, Control C, and I'm going to put them in right there. So that way I make sure that I don't, that's probably a good thing to do. Here, I'm going to insert. That way I have, it's really easy, Control C or Control X, Control, oh, I put that in the wrong spot. So we're going to put the Your First Chick-fil-A, I'm going to put all the variables to the left-hand side, Control X, Control V, Control X, Control V. That's why it's really easy to keep up with, Control X. And so now we have all the variables listed on the left-hand side. And then we have, histogram for each quantitative variable. Once again, these are the quantitative variables. Okay. Create a cumulative frequency polygon for the quantitative variables. And then if you want to, you can make an appropriate frequency polygon where multiple sets are stacked on top of each other. But let's start right here. So let's go back to the clean data with text, and what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and make a pivot table. So in my lecture on pivot tables, I tell you, hey, just hit pivot table and it'll select all the appropriate data. However, that's not always true. Okay. In this particular situation, notice that it selects the duration and the duration. There's two different header columns. Or header rows rather. And so when you have a situation where it doesn't select all the appropriate data perfectly, just go ahead and delete that, leave your cursor in there, and then highlight the entire table that you want it to select. So I started at the top left-hand column, and then I dragged it all the way down to the bottom right-hand column. And notice it puts it right in there. I'm going to do that one more time for you. I'm going to go back up all the way to the left-hand side, and I'm going to say, okay, I want you to start in here, and I put my cursor in there, and I hold it down, and I drag it all the way down to the bottom right corner. And so then I've got all of that. Another way to do it is you can click in the top left-hand corner, and then scroll down to the bottom right-hand corner. Oops. I messed up. That was unfortunate. Go to the top left-hand corner, press Shift, and then click. Shift, and then click, and it will highlight everything. And then press OK. So now we have a pivot table. And something that I didn't show you all, sorry, let me go back really quick. When I did that, insert pivot table, what I said is I want it to be in a new workbook. Okay. That's not exactly what I wanted. So if you click new workbook, a lot of you guys, you have your data here. And that's all well and good, but you really don't want to put it into the, your existing worksheet over on the right-hand side, because if you put it into your existing worksheet over on the right-hand side, it's not really in the right place. Do you want to put it on this sheet? You could put it on that sheet. So, you want to put it, click on the location, delete the location, and then say, okay, I want it on this sheet, and I want it to be right here. Now, wherever you put it, make sure that there's not something directly below it. because pivot tables will override anything that's directly below it or anything to the right of it, or it won't let you make a pivot table in that location. So let's put a pivot table right there. Make sure you have a frequency table so we're going to put it right there. Press OK.